Where do we begin? The mayor responds. The police chief responds. Everybody's talking. The FBI came in and raided these DWI cops and found that they had a little scam going. They were taking money from people to get their cases dismissed. But what all of these reports don't point to is the fact that I would submit that the majority of these people were not impaired in the first place. They were just being shaken down by dirty cops on the side of the road. And so when you hear this police chief grumbling about these people's cases getting dismissed, you prick. Anyways, he's a little troll, knucklehead. But where do we begin? What actually happened? Well, let's go over here and let's look at the actual, what the deal is. More than 150 DWI cases dismissed as part of federal public corruption probe in New Mexico. Authorities say more than 150 cases alleging that motorists drove while intoxicated have been dismissed as part of a federal public corruption investigation. Okay. The FBI led the 2nd Judicial District Attorney's Office in Albuquerque to dismiss 152 misdemeanor DWI cases as of Friday morning, the office said. Those cases could still be refiled. Ooh, we did this in deference to an ongoing federal investigation, said Nancy Laughlin, a spokeswoman for the office. Oh, there's a vast deference there. Huh. Search warrants were served at multiple locations last week, including at the homes of at least 3 Albuquerque police officers. The Albuquerque Journal reported no one has been arrested or charged in the investigation as of last week. Hey, wait a second. They did all this stuff. It was certainly criminal, certainly felon, and they haven't been arrested? Okay, so these 3 Albuquerque police officers, who I guess they're not going to name, combined filed 136 out of the 152 DWI cases, according to court records. At least 107 of those were filed last year. Oh, they're working it, making up 10% of such cases for the Albuquerque Police Department, records showed. Listen, they've been doing this for years and years and years. I'm going to play the video here in a second. Some officers have been placed on, standard administrative leave where they still get their money. Fallout also led to the resignation of a prominent defense attorney. Oh, you know why? Because he knows that it's getting deep. It's going to get real deep. Real deep. All right. Oh, look at this. The district attorney, Sam Ringman, calls the dismissals a gut punch. Hey, yeah, I'd say so. I'm sick to my stomach for dismissing more than 150 DWI cases. Oh, they're sick to their stomach. Those people were most likely innocent, and the government thugs are just sick to their stomach. Well, why aren't those cops sitting in jail? You should be sick to your stomach that those cops had that little shakedown scheme going on. All right, let's listen to what the police chief says first. He's a knucklehead, that's for sure.
Just last week, we learned of the federal investigation into Albuquerque police officers who may have been a part of an illegal scheme to get DWI cases dropped.
Tonight, for the first time, the Albuquerque police chief sat down with News 13 to answer tough questions about what APD knew, when they knew it, and what comes next.
This is horrible. It was a violation of trust for victims, a violation of trust for every officer who's out there doing the right thing, and we got to make sure we get this right.
Chief Harold Medina is still stinging from the 150 DWI cases dismissed last week because the arresting officers are now implicated in a federal corruption investigation.
I am not okay with these individuals being let off of their charges, but it is the right thing to do. Given the fact that these officers are accused of something that is just despicable.
Medina says that late yesterday, the department informed 5 DWI officers that they are targets of an internal affairs investigation.
This is a very complex investigation, which is going to involve a lot of parts, a lot of different moving parts within the criminal justice system. So we're being very cautious how we move forward, and I have to respect my partners in this.
News 13 learned the federal investigation surrounds accusations of officers being paid to get DWI cases dismissed. Medina says more than a year ago, APD looked into complaints from the public against officers in the DWI unit, but it wasn't until last October that APD learned the FBI was investigating and offered to help.
We've identified 5. We don't know if it's going to go further from there. We don't know where it's going to go from there, but we're currently at 5 officers.
Not all of the officers are currently in the DWI unit. One actually started there in 2011, meaning this alleged misconduct may go back 13 years. So how did the chief and administrations before him miss this?
But I think we've got to remember that they got away with it if it was occurring. It's something that's occurred for over a decade. So obviously they were very good at hiding this.
Like all cops are. And this is just this instance with DWIs. What other little scams and little things do they have going on? Every cop that you know who owns a tow yard, well, that's a dirty cop.
And we are glad that this administration has been able to bring this to light.
Tonight, the chief promising reforms to keep something like this from happening again.
We've made one change with making sure that we have currently a lieutenant assigned to interface and communicate with Metro Court to immediately report any missed courts for the day from our DWI unit.
Chief Medina also putting a brave face on one of the most damaging scandals inside the Albuquerque Police Department.
I mean, we had 150 cases dismissed. It's horrible. So yes, in a way, there is a stain on APD, but I think that there is the general public who's going to realize that.
We realize that you are a stain. APD is a total stain on the community. Useless. Let's hear what the mayor has to say. This is going to be great. Okay, Mayor, what do you got to say? Oops.
DWI unit investigation today after tracking him down at a couple of events. It's a story first brought to you. The more than 150 DWI cases being dismissed in Bernalillo County.
All the cases worked by 4 officers whose homes were raided. Nobody's been charged. Faith Bonner is live with the mayor now responding in person to city councilors' concerns.
Yes, right. City councilors addressed the issue at last night's meeting, many of them feeling blindsided by the news. Frustrations boiling over, lack of transparency. City councilors left in a state of confusion.
A little frustrating that I am learning this, or the councilors learning this from Channel 7, that there wasn't a phone call, an outreach to us to say, hey, this is coming down.
The Albuquerque Police Department's DWI units in hot water. 4 homes of APD officers raided.
Mr. President, Councilor Champagne, I understand your frustration. It really comes down to that, this is bigger than APD, and it is a handful of officers. I think, Chief Medina has been really transparent when he can be, and we anticipate being able to be when we can.
And a local attorney whose front door was barred with 2 strips of wood when we paid a visit on Friday. A story our Target 7 investigation team first brought to you Thursday morning.
I think the accusations that I'm hearing about are patently a disgrace to the badge. I hope, if it's true, these individuals never work at APD or in Albuquerque again. It is limited to a handful of individuals, to my understanding. APD also, I don't believe, is the only agency that's being looked at.
Mayor Tim Keller responding to city councilors accusing the city of withholding information. Do you have any response to the city council meeting last night regarding the APD raid and lack of transparency that people feel? City councilors.
Well, I think there's an ethical issue there. We don't want to jeopardize the investigation, right? The number one important thing is to hold these folks accountable. And a public venue like City Council, it's marginally unethical for them to air these concerns because it might hamper the investigation.
Oh, well, let's air our concerns, folks. Leave these goofballs a comment. These corrupt dorks need to hear from we the people.